Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards, and in today's session we're going to be looking at some patterns to play out from the back. But before we get into this week's video, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's video, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, we're going to be taking a look at our first pattern, which is going to be focusing on playing out to then create an opportunity for someone to drive towards goal and finish. But before we get into it, let's have a look at how many players we're working with this week and the equipment that we'll be using. So in terms of players, okay, so we're going to be going with 12 outfield players and then a goalkeeper. But if you have more players, so let's say you have an extra 3 or 4 outfield players, you can just put them into certain areas, okay? So you can have more players on the start point. You can even look to add in an extra midfielder when we're moving in a minute to play a pass back across before the player who attacks goes to score. And then when we go into a small sided game, we can just even up again, just split the group into an even number. So if you have less players, you just look to try and take a pass out, or instead of it going to a player to score, it could just be someone receives it and then plays into a goal instead of that, if you obviously have less players. In terms of the equipment for this week, we're looking at balls, bibs and cones, and then again, if you have poles or mannequins, you can try and use them for the players to treat as defenders, and also for small-sided goals, you can use poles as an alternative. In terms of the setup for this part of the session, okay, so from the goal line to where the midfielders start here, you're looking for about between 20 and 25 yards, with the full-back starting around about the 18-yard box, okay, just around there. So the defenders will start just around about the 6-yard box, and then a bit wider, so you're looking about 5 to 10 yards either side. These two players are just starting as if it's like just outside of the post, okay, so they can come in and receive the ball. And then what we're looking for is, for these players here, is to be a further 15 yards from the middle point here, and then this player to be 10 yards. So this pass here, you're looking about a 20 to 25 yard pass. So in total, you're looking about 50 yards of depth. In terms of width, so the two players in here are going to be just outside the goal. So the goal's about 8 yards if you're using a full-sided goal. So you're looking about 10 to 12 yards. And then the players outside of here, you're looking going 15 each side, okay, from here to here, okay, and then you're 12 in the middle, so you're looking around about 40 yards, and then the players in there are just off that, so about 5 yards further in, and then another 5 yards further in from there. So how the pattern's going to work, we're going to be playing to the centre back first, okay, in this drill. So that's where we've got 2 players at the start point. So the keeper plays to the centre back, okay, looks to open out. We're focusing on our movements though, so the player who isn't receiving the ball, we're still looking to offer, okay, so as if it's a game realistic scenario, we would adapt, okay, so when we go into a small-sided game, try and have our movements being realistic so then we can look to get on the ball in the game, because the patterns aren't going to be able to be the same all the time. So what we're looking for here is this player looks to come in short, okay, not just standing and waiting with the player on the back, but as the centre-back receives it, they're then looking to play into the full-back, okay. As that ball comes into the fullback, they're looking to set that inside, okay, so creating an angle to receive it on the back foot, which is the left foot, okay, or if you've got a right foot to fullback as well, playing first time on the right foot. This then encourages this player's movement, so we're focusing on their receiving skills and the timing of the movement to receive in this area here so that they can open out, okay. As this player receives it, they're looking to open out and break the lines with this pass, okay, so they're looking to play through into this midfielder who comes off the line to receive it. As this is then happening, we're then looking for this player who's going to be kind of like a wide player or an attack midfielder to then look to break the lines in behind, okay? So you could even put like mannequins in here for the player to break the lines. So then as this player receives it, it can be a touch and play, or it can be a first time set, depending on how the execution of the pass is, to play this player into space, who then drives forward to finish. So in terms of the movements, okay, so the centre-back becomes the full-back, the full-back becomes the midfielder, midfielder moves up high, this player becomes the player who's going to drive and finish, and then this player goes to the back of the queue. Now, if you want to work with certain players, it could just be that you just rotate the midfielders, so it could be like, you could have 2 players starting here, and the midfielders just rotate each side, and the fullbacks can stay in if they want to as well. Again, that's depending if you want to pigeonhole the players to stay in one position, okay? But obviously, you kind of want the players to get used to different scenarios as well, because it's not just for playing up from the back, from receiving in different areas. So try and get them working off different areas, so we're focusing on different angles of receiving. Then we'll go the other side, so then we're looking at the keeper, playing to the centre-back. That full-back pulls out, so dropping, okay, to receive the ball, not stretching, dropping it. So then they're creating that space, okay, in here, so in a game you've got that chance of a bounce pass. So when this player receives it, okay, they've got an option to open out because this player is still dropped in deep, so it's leaving the space up here. They're then looking to open out. This player is moving in to receive it. This player's timing their run in. So what we're looking for from this player is not to run into this player. So move away, so then this player's got that space to move in, and then look to finish. So you can even add defenders in later on if you wanted to into this area. You could have a recovery defender following this player as well if you wanted to, if you've got more players. So then this player's got a 1v1 to then look to finish. So again, the players will just basically move up each time before going back to the start. So it's that quickness in our play, the tempo, the body shape to receive, the execution of our passes, and then attacking that space to then score. We will now move into our first animation before moving on to part 2 of this week's session. Now moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're moving into our second pattern, which is going to be focusing on playing across. Okay, so when the centre midfielder gets played in, it's getting played across to the centre back, combining with the wide, with the full back, and then one of the wider centre midfielders to then play inside and then look to play forward via the small goals in here, which could be poles as well. So in terms of the setup, okay, so in terms of depth, so from the goal line here to this player in there, we're going again between 20 and 25 yards. You want the fullback around about the same depth as well. And then these two players in here are only going to be a further 10 yards away, okay, maximum as well. And then these two players in here, you'll have 15 yards. So that again, that'll be a maximum. And then we're looking for about another 10 yards towards goal. You can even put them further back if you wanted to. In terms of the width, okay, so you're looking, again, between 10 and 15 yards, ideally 15, depending on your age group, between these two players in here. And then the wide players, 15 yards each side as well. You want to stretch that as much as you can, okay? So if you're working on a full-size pitch, just off the line, okay? If you've got half a pitch, if it's a bit smaller, then obviously just adjust with what you've got. If you've got 40 yards of width, use it all. So you've got your 40 yards, 15 yards each side, and then 10 in the middle. So these players be about 10 yards inside, either side of here as well. Just over 10 yards. So then the players in the middle, okay, these are going to be the players playing through. So what will happen is this player will come off their line, okay, to receive it, okay, so they're looking to play first time, okay, so it's going to be as if they're under pressure, so they're going to play the opposite way. So then as this player's receiving it, centre back drops to receive on the back foot to bring the ball out. So the players are just following their pass really. So this player's going to move to there. As this player receives it, we're looking for the full back, okay, to pull off into space. So this is why we're saying just you want that line just to be off, okay, the width what you're looking for. So it's like trying to tell the player, okay, you're looking to get away from this cone to receive it, okay, so as this ball gets played in, looking to combine and do a 1-2 with the player inside. So they're on this angle here, so this player can come in short, so it can get set for that wall pass, gets played into there. And then what we're looking for is this player in the middle, okay, to create some space to receive it. So then they can either come round and receive it and play forward first time, okay, so it's that through ball, or they can look to receive it on the back foot. So having that disguise as they move into the ball, because there's two options, to then open out on the back foot and then play it forward. So in terms of the movement, the players are just basically moving up one each time. So the player at the start point moves to be the centre-back. Centre-back moves to be the full-back. After the full-back has played their second pass, they move to the one inside, okay? And then the player inside moves to the player who's going to then play forward. So the player who's basically ending the drill for us, that player goes back to the start, and then we go the other side. So it's starting with the keeper. If you don't have a goalkeeper, a coach or anybody else can just basically fill the void, really, for somebody, but you're going to need someone feeding that ball. This player will come off look to play. So it's them movements, drop quickly, receive the ball, open out, okay? As this player open out, come short to create that space in behind. Don't start too high, because you haven't got that space to attack then. As we start deeper, entice players in, drop. As that player is dropping and it's going towards them, this player looks to drop in to create that angle, okay, to then play forward, okay? And as that ball's going in there, we're then looking for this player to come off the line. Can they receive it in space? It can even be like take a touch across and play, depending on where they receive it, or open out and play in. So then you've got this player moving up to here, full back moving to here, centre back moving to here, player at the start moving up one, and then the player who passed it in going back to the start. And then the cycle continues. So the main thing to reiterate to the players is that movement to the ball, the execution of the passes, so being able to play first time, okay, to get out of that pressure, okay, to then set the attacks, and then how can we receive that ball in those middle areas, so opening out and being able to use both feet. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to the final part of this week's session. Okay, so moving into the final part of this week's session, we're now putting the patterns, what we've done, into a small-sided game. Okay, so now it's more opposed, so now we've got to start adapting to things in the game. Okay, so obviously we want to try and play out and play into the midfield. Okay, so but we've got to adapt it in the game depending on how the opposition press, and then also depending on where the ball is and what options we've got. So in terms of the setup for this part of the session, so the goalkeeper's going to have an area here which is about 15 yards. So we're trying to tell the centre-backs not to go in this area, okay, so we're not inviting pressure too much. And then what we're going to have in terms of the width from here on the other side is 15 yards either side. So you're looking about 40 to 45 yards width. This can just be 10 yards if you wanted to, depending on what you've got. And then we've got a middle area here, which is 20 yards across. So then you're looking at 10 yards either side. So as you can see, we've just got that extra few yards either side of this. So this area here is for no one's going to go in this area here, okay? So if the ball goes out and it doesn't go in the goal, we're then looking for it to be a throw-in, basically. So for the Blues, they're looking to receive the ball in this box to play forward. So it's as if like we're receiving and then playing out, okay? For the Greens, they're looking to press high, okay? Lock on to prevent us getting the ball and then look to score. So it starts with the keeper. Keeper's looking to play out. So at the start, what we're looking to do is only one of these blue players can move into here, and they can be unopposed as well. So the green players in here can't move. As progression, you move that on where any player can move anywhere, okay, as we get used to it. What we're looking for is this player is just coming in to combine to provide an extra option to play out. And when that option comes, we're looking to play into that midfielder who's looking to play out quickly. So it's breaking that line of pressure to play out. You can even put a goal forward if you wanted to as well. But right now we're focusing on that wider area. So for the fullbacks, they can also come into this area as well. When the opposite fullback's got the ball, the centre-back can come in, which could mean that this player can come into there unopposed. Okay, none of these four green players can move in here. You could have the attacking midfielder being able to move in to provide an overload for them, but then it leaves an overload in here for the Blues. So you're trying to get the Blues to stay high. So for the Blues in here, basically it's 2v2 most of the time, and they've got to think about their movement. So you might get a player dropping in, player switching across, and then when they receive it, being able to play quickly, so recognising where they want them to go. Okay, so they're playing to the wingers. You could have a wide midfielder making movements in behind, making movement wide as well. So that's how they score. For the Greens, they're looking to obviously apply pressure, look to pinch the ball, and then look to score. So you're kind of looking for to have your back four, or if you play with the back five, that's fine, in here, and then your midfielders. So you're trying to get that confidence to receive back to goal, look to combine with the players, and then the end goal is to play forward. Like I say, as a progression, what you can do is have players free to move anywhere. So then you might be able to have a wide player, a midfielder coming out, and then you might have a fullback coming in, cause a little bit of confusion, okay, receive the ball in, and then look, can we play across the pitch as well? So it's like, can we open out and play, or can we receive the ball and play across the pitch, so breaking that line of pressure. But like we say, after each time there's a goal here or a goal there, or if the opposition miss or the ball, if the opposition miss a shot here, the greens, then we start with the keeper. If the ball goes out here, okay, behind the line, then the greens can play. If the ball goes out to the side, we do throw-ins. Okay, so we're looking to play out, okay, so that option of the player dropping in here. So then if the fullback got it, okay, and there's pressure, can they look to play in there quickly and play forward? Okay, so exactly what we've been looking to do with them combination play. It could be that centre-back gets it, look to step in, fullback provides the width. Okay, they might press at one side with a player dropping in short, and then can we play to the centre-back quickly and then look to play into that middle player, okay, who can then look to play through. If it's not on, okay, they can look to play back. Then it might go to the fullback again. We might have another player moving in this middle area and playing forward. So we're encouraging that movement and communication between the players in here to talk to each other. Can you get out of that space, okay? Can you ask each other where to move? Telling each other if they've got players on the shoulders, okay? Same with the 4 players in there. And then for the greens, them talking about shuffling across and trying to prevent that ball coming in into that area. And when it does come in there, the thought process, the decision making has got to be quick. Can we play out? If not, keep the ball and look to recycle it and then wait for the opportunities to go forward. We will now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to head over to our website where you can sign up to view all of our exclusive content. And we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.